What is the cycle of life? How can we work with natural cycles for our health and happiness, for the very existence of life itself, because so many are coming down with those inherited diseases, that which is blood vessel heart disease, and cancer is running over the top of all of these. There is a global recognition of the destruction of the planet, but probably the most destructive of all forces is evolutionary science. The many who are looking and protesting about global warming may never see the future because of soil destruction and its impact upon health. There is a reliance on false science and its associated false medical, false agricultural and false food practices, which is leading many in the wrong direction. It's being used as a political football for the global agenda. You create the problem, ignore it, then you gather everyone in on it for the solution. But the solution is about the moral preservation of the individual. It's a moral, and this is a physical problem also. This is something the Christian churches, they should have known better. Sciences and medicine is not following. Why are we looking at the cycle of life? To discover physical and spiritual healing. One cannot exist without the other. We shall see why. First, the physical cycle that causes disease. But first we will look at a couple of pictures. Here is a heart artery. The situation is inoperable. Simple diet, and via the simple diet this person self-heals. So this is a picture taken by Cadel Esselstyn, well-known physician, helps a friend of his who is also a doctor. As I said, the problem, the damage of the heart artery was so extensive that it's inoperable, and by a simple diet the body is able to self-heal. Underneath is the picture of the brain and the destruction caused by drugs. And when the toxin is removed, it shows how the brain heals itself, how brain activity is increased. And then at the bottom, the most powerful of all is following God's word. Now I have made you clean through the word. Physical instructions are given in that word, and also by the Spirit of God, by which that which is brought into existence and was created can be a power in our lives. The water is a symbol of that cleansing of the mind. The cycle of life, here it is. Man is made out of the dust of the ground, or the minerals in the ground, and this leads to life itself. Life requires the natural healing environment, and the body mimics such. Our aim should be to mineralise, hydrate, appropriate work and rest patterns, hygiene inside the body. The nutrients made available in the ground are studied by the companies, the drug companies, in parts per million for their therapeutic value. They study the leaf, they study the plant, every little bit, and dissect it, and in that they tell you its property, what percentage in parts per million, as I mentioned, and the leaf, the root, anti-diabetic, anesthetic, anti-cancer, anti-tumour, and it gives you all those properties. A drug lacks minerals, but it has the powerful active ingredient, and so a side effect which the plant would not have if it was given as a whole. Microbes are opportunistic or morph themselves according to the nutritional state of the body, what we're giving it. Lack of nutrients lead to fungal forms and many diseases such as cancer. Cancer is a lack of nutrient or a toxic overload, or because the animal kingdom is being polluted, we can get a direct hit. The cancer can be unseen, undetected. And so as we eat that which is coming through these sources, the animal kingdom, animal products, we also can take on cancer. The end of the cycle is dust to dust as microbes plough the body back into the ground as nature deals with disease and decay. And so we have simplified the physical effects, how God deals with sin. And He's given in His word, that which pertains to life. Just so you don't miss the definition of disease, microbes morph themselves according to our nutritional or hygienic condition to assist us in life or plough us back into the ground. This is God's way of dealing with the physical effects of sin. So He deals with these things both physically and spiritually. We have these research papers that tell us concerning something of the role of the microbes. Gut microbes can produce hormones and neurotransmitters, so they're communicating with the body. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or increased intestinal permeability may produce systemic or central nervous system inflammation. Bacterial proteins may cross-react with human antigens to stimulate dysfunctional responses in the immune system. Gut bacteria directly stimulate afferent neurons of the enteric nervous system to send signals to the brain via the vagus nerve. That's quite interesting. Through these various mechanisms, gut microbes shape the architecture of sleep and stress reactivity of the hypothalamic, pituitary, and adrenal axis. They influence the memory, mood, and the cognition. Water can do the same. So we have all these factors that play a part. Probably the most important factor of this, though, or the one that influences the disease process, is the microbes. Gut microbes and energy balance a role in obesity. Congestion in the intestines can alter gut morphology, permeability, function, and possibly the growth and composition of gut microbes. It would make natural sense. If the microbes were taken away, if they weren't present in the body as they've done in experiments, as in mice and rats, then they do not live very long. The organs do not function on their own. They have the microbes working with them. Altered intestinal neuroendocrine gene expression in humans with obesity. Gastrointestinal hormones are critically involved in the regulation of food intake and body weight. Previous studies support an interplay between gastrointestinal hormones and the serotonic system. This study explored intestinal neuroendocrine expression patterns in humans with obesity versus non-obese humans. Conclusion: our top-down approach substantiates the dysregulation of jejunal neuroendocrine hormones in obesity. The hormones change and the microbes will be different in the person with obesity. What's the bottom line problem? The diet and lifestyle. That's what we'll get more into as we go along. That gut microbia can be modulated through dietary components highlights the importance to study how fatty acids, carbohydrates, micronutrients, prebiotics and probiotics can influence gut microbia composition and the management of obesity. Several studies suggest that imbalance in the intestinal microbial population can result in obesity, systemic inflammation, and metabolic dysfunction. Microbia include around 1,013 to 1,014 microbes harbouring the human gut, which are clustered in approximately 1,000 different bacteria. So we're just picking out a few of these research articles, and we can say that evidence is clear that gut microbes can be used, or they modulate through dietary components. Increased intestinal permeability allows the entrance of endotoxins to the circulation. Endotoxins, toxins into the circulation. What do we have? A problem now with arthritic conditions, etc. Some serious diseases will now occur. If a clear causal relationship between gut microbes and the metabolic health can be established, dietary interventions can be targeted towards improving gut microbial composition in the prevention and perhaps even the treatment of metabolic disease. Well, you would think that would make natural sense. These are recent research articles, but we seem to be far behind the basis for dealing with disease, and I would say this has a lot to do with money making in the medical industry. Now, interestingly enough, we have from back in early days, Kellogg made sure that the bowel of each and every patient was plied with water. Now, the way this person is speaking is this guy is a quack from above and below. His favourite device was an enema machine, just like the one I saw in Germany. So I'm quoting a particular person here. That could run 15 gallons of water through an unfortunate bowel in a matter of seconds. Every water enema was followed by a pint of yogurt. Half was eaten and the other half was administered by enema, thus planting the protective germs, so they're quoting Kellogg here, where they are most needed and may render most effective service. The yogurt served to replace the intestinal flora of the bowel, creating what Kellogg claimed was a squeaky clean intestine. Well, it sounds pretty important to have a squeaky clean intestine, considering this is going to influence gut permeability and what will happen in the disease process. And so it says a quack from the 1800s, and you can make up your own mind on that, or perhaps by far ahead of his time. I would not say that every practice that Kellogg was involved in is correct, but he was not a touch on his contemporaries. He was far ahead of them and far ahead of many that we have around today. Why is it that they reject the things that God has given? Kellogg was following these God-given natural ways of healing the body, understanding the cause of disease. Through the research articles, we have an acknowledgement of gut permeability and the microbes being involved, but we have people rejecting the basis for real medical practice. If we really followed these ideas that microbes morph themselves according to the nutritional status of the person, then if we followed from cause to effect, microbes being changed by dietary and lifestyle habits, then the real key would be in this. For diabetes, for cancer, for arthritic problems, and the list would keep on going on. But people will disregard those things which are God-given, unfortunately. How can we work with the natural cycles for health and happiness? For the very existence of life itself, there is a global recognition of the destruction of the planet, but we need to recognize how people are being destroyed through these false sciences. We need to have a premise and understand definition for disease, the basis for it, and follow from cause to effect.